of Brant Committee of Adjustment for December 21st, 2023 is about to start. So welcome to members of the committee, the applicants, agents, staff, and members of the public. This meeting is being held virtually. I'll remind you that the meeting is being recorded and streamed live via the County of Brant YouTube account. Committee of Adjustment members joining online should use their cameras throughout the meeting so that applicants, agents, and members of the public can identify the voting members, and we can confirm you are present throughout the meeting. Planning staff will be requested to join the meeting during presentations and will be available to answer questions. Applicants, agents, owners, and delegations are also participating virtually. All persons wishing to speak to the items on the agenda were required to register prior to the meeting. Any comments, questions, or concerns received in written format have been provided to the committee members and will form part of the meeting record. Applicants, agents, and members of the public, please ensure your camera is off and your microphone is on mute throughout the meeting and your name is correct on the Zoom screen. When called upon to speak, please remember to unmute your microphone and turn on your camera before speaking. Those presenting as delegations will have 10 minutes to speak to the application at hand, not past applications or associated applications. And in the event that a service interruption occurs, that will affect quorum, which I don't think is the case tonight, we may recess the meeting. If you are present in council chambers as a member of the public this evening and wish to speak, please come to the podium and speak into the microphone. Also, please sign in on the sign-in sheet at the back. This meeting is held in accordance with the provision of the Planning Act. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss minor variance and consent applications and give anyone in attendance the opportunity to ask questions, provide comments related to that particular application. Notice of this meeting was provided by mail and signed, posted by staff as required by the Planning Act. A copy of the meeting agenda, including the staff report, related materials, and comments received are available on the County of Brant website. Once the presentations, public hearing, and question period are complete for each application, if the committee deems it appropriate, they will make a decision. That decision is final following the 20-day appeal period. And again, note the sign-in sheet at the entrance if you're attending in person. If you do not sign in on that sheet with your name and address, you will not receive a copy of the decision. The names of those individuals who speak on any item tonight will appear within the meeting minutes. Anyone wishing to receive further notice or a copy of the committee's decision, please contact the County of Brant Planning Department. The order of delegation are as follows: Planning staff report and recommendation, applicant or their agent presentation, question and discussion, public comments, further questions of clarification, and the decision. I will now take attendance, so please indicate by stating present if you are in attendance. Mary Jane Brown, present. Harry Emmett,
present.
Bob Hamilton,
Present.
Jang Peneg, he hasn't signed in. He is not online either. Rebecca Smith,
present.
Steve Schmidt,
Present.
John Vamus.
Present.
Thank you. We will now move to item 2, approval of the agenda. Do any members have any items to be added to the agenda? May I request a mover and seconder? Member Schmidt, Member Emmett, please provide your motion.
Thank you, Chair. Moved by myself and seconded by Member Emmett that the agenda for the County of Brant Committee of Adjustment meeting of December 21st, 2023 be approved.
Members, please indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Vamus?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Hamilton?
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The agenda for the meeting of December 21st, 2023 has been approved. I'll now introduce item 3. Are there declaration of pecuniary interest? Are there any members who would like to declare a conflict of interest for any items on the agenda this evening? I believe there are none, so we will now move to item 4, adoption of the minutes from previous meetings. From November 16th, 2023. Do the committee members have any errors or omissions to note? Appears there are none. Do we have a mover and seconder for this motion? Member Hamilton? Member Schmidt? Can I please have your motion?
Moved by myself and seconded by Member Schmidt that the minutes from the County of Brant Committee of Adjustment meeting for November the 16th, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. Members, please indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Vamus.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Hamilton.
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion to adopt the minutes from the meeting of November 16th, 2023 has carried. Those minutes are now adopted in the record. I will now introduce the item 5.1 for application A2623HH and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the report and the recommendation.
Good evening. This is a minor variance application for lands located at 8 Massacre Drive within the geographic township of Burford. The subject lands are located on the south side of Massacre Drive, lying between St. William Street and Maple Avenue North. The surrounding area consists of suburban residential land uses and is located within the secondary urban settlement boundary of Burford. The applicant is seeking relief from Section 9 to permit an interior side yard setback of 1.24 meters, whereas 1.5 meters is required. The relief is requested in order to facilitate the construction of an attached garage to the existing single detached dwelling for the purpose of storing personal property and personal vehicles. The subject lands are designated urban residential within the County of Brant official plan, and the subject lands are currently zoned suburban residential within the County of Brant zoning bylaw 6116. Notice of the application was circulated to property owners within 60 meters of the subject lands, and no public comments or concerns were received. As a result of the minor variance review, staff are of the opinion that the request is in keeping with the overall intent of the zoning bylaw, in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The request is minor in nature and will not negatively impact adjacent land uses. I am recommending approval of the minor variance application A26-23-HH. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes.
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 Member Hamilton?
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion to approve application 82623HH has carried. The application has been approved.
That would be yes.
Okay, sorry. So we have all members on record now, okay, as voting in favor. Thank you. And I will now introduce the item 5.2 for application 82523HH and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the report and recommendation.
This is a minor variance application for lands located at 61 Hammond Road within the former geographic township of Brantford. The subject lands are located north of Brant School Road along the west side of Hammond Road. The surrounding area consists of rural residential and agricultural land uses. The subject lands are currently serviced by private water, sanitary, and stormwater infrastructure. The applicant is seeking relief from Section 4, Table 4.4.1 of the County of Brant zoning bylaw 6116 for an increase in lot coverage and height for an accessory structure. The applicant has proposed an increased lot coverage of 222.95 meters squared, whereas 140 square meters is permitted for an accessory structure. Additionally, the applicant has proposed an increase in height to 5.38 meters, whereas 5 meters is permitted. The applicants have expressed that the structure will be used for personal storage and storage of vehicles. Although the accessory building structure has been constructed, planning staff have reviewed and provided analysis as if the building is proposed within the report. The subject lands are designated rural residential and agriculture within the County of Brant official plan. The subject lands are currently zoned rural residential within the County of Brant zoning bylaw 6116. Notice of the application was circulated to the property owners within 60 meters of the subject lands and no public comments or concerns were received. As a result of the minor variance review, staff is of the opinion that the request is in keeping with the overall intent of the zoning bylaw, in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The request is minor in nature and will not negatively impact adjacent land uses. I am recommending approval of the minor variance application A25-23-HH. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Haley, for the presentation. Do any committee members have any questions to staff on this application? Member Smith, please go ahead.
Through the chair to staff, was a permit applied for and the building was constructed larger than approved? Just looking for a little bit of history on that.
Through the chair, I'm not sure if they had applied for a building permit originally. I'll defer that question to the applicant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments to staff from the committee members? Member Hamilton?
Through the chair to staff, the one question I have is, the assumption is that there is no building permit unless we'll wait for the applicant to give that. But my question is, what are the consequences if we don't approve this minor variance to this building that's built without a permit? Is that something the building department would look into, or I'm just curious, wanting to know what the consequences may be?
Through the chair, and I'll let staff also answer if I'm incorrect, but I believe that they would either have to remove the structure or they would have to apply for a different application that may be able to support something like this.
Okay, thank you. And a corollary to that one, are there any consequences if to the applicant because he or she or they did not get a permit from the standpoint of a financial penalty.
Could you
Through the
provide
chair to
some-
staff,
You guys need help?
yes, please.
If the structure was constructed without a permit, there would be some penalties that the building division would look to impose upon the property owner.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions to county staff? Is the applicant or their agent present? Or-
Yes, present.
Oh, online?
Correct.
Could I have your name, please?
It's Brandon
Do you have anything to add? Could you possibly provide the committee with a history of the structure?
Mr. Glass, we can't hear you. Are you able to repeat?
Is there a problem with his connection?
Hello, test.
Mr. Glass,
Hello.
can you hear us?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Hello, and sorry about that. My audio was working when I logged in, but something happened there.
No problem.
So to answer the first question, yes, a building permit was issued for a structure. The permit was issued for a 30 by 50 structure. And then, yeah, as I was building my own shop, I thought I should go a little bigger for what I needed. So this has been a learning curve for me that should have contacted the county with my wishes instead of just going ahead. So I did have a permit for the structure that was approved, and then built it differently than what was approved, and then resubmitted new drawings to the county inspector, and it got circulated from there.
Are there any questions by the committee members? Member Hamilton, please go ahead.
Yes, through the chair to the applicant. I'm just stating what we have here. You stated you have a building permit, but they said a condition is required for a building permit to be obtained. To me, that sounds like it was never issued or approved. So there must be some maybe confusion between yourself and the building department. But what we're seeing is there has not been a building permit. That's why we're questioning, wanting to know, about that. So
Okay. Yeah, so there was not a permit for this size structure. There was permit for a secondary dwelling site slightly smaller than this structure. That was approved. So I did get a permit originally, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Member Vamus?
Through the chair to the applicant, your original purpose for the structure was the housing structure. This is not. This is an accessory building. This is a shed, you said?
It's a detached garage.
Yeah, but your original permit, what was that for? That you claimed to have now?
There's two permits on this property. One was to build my house, which was in 2020. The permit for the accessory structure was issued in 2022.
So then why would you build it a lot bigger than you were allowed?
As I was going, like I stated, seeing the footprint, it wasn't going to be large enough for our needs, so I just started building a bit bigger.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair to the applicant. So assuming you've been in contact with the building department at this point, have there been any issues that have been raised through those conversations? Just kind of getting an idea of what that looks like.
Nothing except the size of the structure. So the building inspector has been out to the site, seemed fine with what he saw as far as the construction was concerned, and but the sizing for lot coverage apparently is the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Please go ahead.
Through the chair to the applicant as well, did you, at the time of getting the original building permit, do a drainage and all that looked after at that time with the initial structure? And did you amend it to this larger structure?
So the footprint, I think for your question there, the footprint of the structure went further into the interior line of the property, not the outer line. So that never changed off of what I proposed with the drawing as far as the setbacks from the property line.
Yeah, what I'm concerned about is not where the property lines are, because I think one of the conditions are you need to get it resurveyed. So that will tell us if you're within the guidelines of that. What I'm talking about is the drainage of the water that comes off this bigger building, accessory building, and where that water is, and are you keeping it on your property, or is some of it seeping onto the neighbor, i.e. the old horse farm there behind you, or the neighbor to the side?
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, the 3 of the downspouts will be spitting into my property. The one front corner, which is taking a quarter of the roof structure, would be going directly towards the property line, if that answers your question. But I know it's in my notes that I need to get signed approval from the adjacent neighbor, like a sign off. He's fine with, or they are fine with what is happening.
Okay, thank you. One last question. Has the building department signed off on this building?
That's a negative.
Okay.
Not until this was done.
If it's approved, then they may sign off. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yeah.
Any further comments or questions from committee members? Member Vamus?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to the applicant, you stated, so you constructed this building yourself?
Correct.
So you're aware, like the engineering and building, and are you in the construction business?
I'm in the light construction fence and deck business.
So I see a hammer there on your wall hanging.
Yeah.
'Cause if you're in that construction business, you should know that you need a permit first, and then you should know the rules and the heights and
But like I said, this is my
like the
first
foundation.
bridge
How
I've
do we
ever
know the
crossed.
foundation's proper? How do we know it's framed properly? We don't know any of that. You built it illegal, and we don't know like how certified or what's your background.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's any of your concern at the moment of what my
How
background
do I know
is.
it's safe?
I think the concern is that the building was built to the Ontario Building Code, so that'll be something dealt with the building department.
I would just interject, Member Vamus, that these issues would be covered by the building department, I'm assuming.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? My only comment was that I wanted to highlight the condition 3, and I believe in your conversation with Member Hamilton, you have acknowledged that you do need approval from your neighbor.
Correct.
For the drainage? Okay, thank you. So you're aware of all the conditions you have to meet.
Now I am, yes. I've been speaking with Miss Haley, I believe, just via email. She's been educating me on this process. Like I said, I've never gone through this kind of process before for a structure. So yeah, she gave me the rundown, and that'll need to be done within a timeline if it is approved.
Okay, because for each application, there generally are a number of conditions that have to be met, and it is your responsibility to ensure that you fully understand them and can meet them.
Right.
Thank you. Any other final comments or questions to staff or the applicant? I believe there are none. Then I will request a mover and a seconder to put forward a motion on this application A2523HH. Member Smith, please go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve A25-23 as the application is in keeping with the 4 tests of the Planning Act.
Subject to the attached conditions. Thank you. Do we have a seconder for the motion on the floor to approve? Member Schmidt, you're in seconding. Thank you. I will now call the vote. Members, please indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Schmidt,
Yes.
Member Hamilton,
No.
Member Vamus,
No.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Brown, yes. The motion has carried to approve with 2 negative votes, but it has still carried. So application A2523HH has been approved. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda. Item 6.1 regarding under other business regarding consent application B1-3-23DN and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the memo on this application.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to the committee. I don't have a formal presentation this evening, but I did include a memo within the addendum. And all this speaks to is a previous or conditionally approved consent application involving 3 parcels of land that was previously approved by the committee back in February. And since receiving the original approval, there's been a bit of a reconfiguration of the parcels. No changes to any conditions. However, the reconfiguration is a bit above and beyond what staff would feel comfortable with accepting, just because it is kind of more. It's still a minor change in terms of the big picture, but it's in terms of the dimensions and the size and shapes of these parcels, it's just a bit above what staff would feel comfortable. So we thought it would be best to come back to the committee to seek a nod from the committee or a formal motion, perhaps, that would agree or disagree with staff's recommendation which essentially says that it is in keeping and maintains the intent of the original decision. Happy to answer any questions.
Do any committee members have any comments or questions on this application? Member Hamilton?
Through the chair to staff, just a clarification or maybe an update. We were handed this tonight. Just a quick recap, if you would, Dan. I know the site and that just of what we approved and what the differences may be. Just a short.
Yep, sure. So there's, through Madam Chair, there's an attachment number 2, provides a clear picture of what was conditionally approved, parts A, part B, part C. The revised reconfiguration is what is shown as amended, shown in red A, B, and C. So it's really just a reconfiguration of parts A and part B. So they've gone from long rectangular lots to square lots. Part A was always and still is be a part of a boundary adjustment or a lot line adjustment that is being acquired by the County of Brant. So just north of this site is the sports complex. Part A was always intended to serve as additional parking for the sports complex, so it will continue to be used for that purpose. Part B always had frontage along Rest Acres Road and would be, Hutchings Road, Hutchings Drive, and would continue to be a standalone parcel, and there's no changes to Part C. So A would be used for county land for additional parking. B and C will be developed as individual lots for commercial purposes.
Thank you.
Any further comment? Member Smith?
Just one question through the chair to staff. So is A being consolidated with the county-owned property?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? I'll now request a mover and seconder to put forward a motion for B1323DN. Member Hamilton?
I move that we accept the amendments to B1-3/23/DN with the conditions that were put forward in the February meeting, and we approve it because it fits the county official.
Thank you, Member Hamilton. Is there a seconder? Member Schmidt. I'll now call the vote. So please indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Hamilton.
Yes.
Member Vamus.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The amendments to application B1323DN have been approved by the committee. The next meeting is scheduled for January 18th, 2024, and again will be a hybrid meeting starting at 6 p.m. May I please get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Member Emmett, seconder. Member Vamus, could I please have your motion?
Moved by myself and second by Member Vamus that the meeting of December 21st, 2023 be adjourned.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. I now declare the meeting adjourned.